Hola. Hello, folks. I'm gonna be talking about the migration from Pydantic V1 to Pydantic V2. So I actually wanted to record several videos on which I could explain each change, but didn't have the opportunity to do it. So I've decided to just do a single record explaining going through the migration guide and explaining some changes that happen. Okay, so let's go. I'm gonna try. Can I divide the screen? Does it make sense? No, I don't think so. So let's actually go through. You don't need to know. You need to know how to install it and etc. So the first thing here that you need to be aware is that there is a tool called Bump Pydantic that kind of helps on the migration. Okay, it's not a perfect tool, but if you go to Bump Pydantic, you're gonna see that yeah, this is the tool, and it kind of replaces some things from V1 to V2 code-wise. I can actually show you how it works. So let's actually go to the IDE, and if I install pip install bump Pydantic, yep. Okay, so let's create a simple example here. So from Pydantic, the Pydantic that I have installed already is Pydantic V2. So I'm gonna perform a change that it's from Pydantic V1, and I'm gonna see how it happens on V2. So if I have this ID and I have ORM mode, okay. So I just have this, nothing more than this. If I run bump Pydantic here, I'm not sure if this works. It shouldn't. Let me see. Oh, okay, it worked. So this is very nice. So what happened here is that we changed from the class config to the model config. So this is one of the changes that happened from V1 to V2. Okay, so if we see the previous code, this is the previous code, and if I run it again, I'm gonna see that I create the model config attribute with the config dict. Okay, perfect. There are other changes that the bump Pydantic do, but there are far more that are needed from the migration from V1 to V2. Actually, I'm a bit confused why someone is using it in a project, because this is meant to be used once. So once you use it, you shouldn't, like, it's not a linter exactly, it's just a transformation from one moment to the other. And well, I guess if you implement some changes that are V1 compliant and they are only deprecated, the bump Pydantic will turn it into the V2 way. But I didn't create this in I didn't expect someone to be using it as a linter / formatter for a long road. It was meant to be one-time use only, mainly because it's slow. Anyway, so this is the first thing that we have on the migration guide. It's bump Pydantic. It helps on the migration. It's not perfect tool, but it gives a bit of help on some things that can be automated. I have already 4 minutes of video, so I'm gonna continue. I think this is the point where I'm gonna put the thing on the YouTube, so you know that this is the next part of the migration guide. So there are some changes on the base model itself, right? Some things like the list of things that you see here on this table. So mainly the most interesting thing that happened is the transformation or addition of this model underscore namespace. So this is something that it was changed, and there are also Pydantic underscore Pydantic. So the dunder Pydantic attributes / methods that were added, and you are still able to call all of those from V1 like the previous ones, but they are deprecated. They are basically are a proxy to the model prefixed methods. So if we go to Pydantic, oh, I was in Pydantic. If I go to the code, if I check here the main file, we can see that. Can you see it? Oh, it's very small. Can you see the previous one? Oh, the previous one was very small. I'm sorry. So I'm really sorry for the first 3 minutes, but I'm not gonna record it again. But yeah, so I'm sorry for not recording again, but I am tired and I don't have much time. So stick with me. So here on the code source, if we check it, we're gonna see that if I check, for example, can you see it? No, it's a thing. Okay, now I think it's better. Yeah, it's better. So if I check for def, copy, for example, copy is a good one. Is it? Yeah, if you check copy, no, let's get a small one, dict. Okay, if I go to dict, you see that it's basically a proxy to the model dump. So that's something that changed. And there is a warning on it. Also, what we added that is very nice is that if you try to use it, so for example on this user, if I try to user ID something one, and I try to use dict, for example, on VS Code you'll see this this thing on below. In Portuguese we say sublinhado. I don't know how to say in English, but this red thing, yeah, you are able to see it. So this function dict is deprecated, and this is mainly on VS Code. It's because of this deprecated decorator. Okay. On PyCharm, for PyCharm users, you are able to see a strike through because we have this warnings warn in the code itself. So you are seeing a strike through instead of this thing right below. Okay, but if you use the right method model dump, then you don't have anything. You are able to use it and you are happy. So okay, so this is one of the changes. Let's go back. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, some stuff changed. Oh, this is cool. Front ORM is not used anymore. Sorry, the method front ORM has been deprecated. And you can just use the model validate to achieve something similar, as long as you've set the attributes true, front attributes true. So what this means is that, so this is a really good example. If I have perfect, if I have something like let me see, class user ID int, does this work? Definite self, let's use ID. Oh, this is good. So this, but let's call this user non-model. Not sure if this is good enough. But then we create the user non-model with the ID being 1. And if we want to validate it, so we'd use this user model validate. And this I think this is not going to work. Okay, let me fix this because my IDE doesn't like this. So int, I don't think this works. Let's see. Python main should work. Yeah, it's working. Nice. This is very nice. It's work. Ah, yeah. Obviously, it's working because it's using front attributes. So since ID is an attribute, I am able to validate it. So if I use this and then run it, and I see ID equal 1. Okay, so this is the same behavior as ORM mode from V1, but the name makes much more sense now. What else? The equal dunder equal has changed a bit. I guess there's a lot of things here, but I would just say that it is more what you'd expect from that method. Another change that happened is the root dunder root. Okay, so usually you'd have something like this, which I actually used a lot. So if I have a user, actually let me add this, and I'd like to have so a list of users would be root model. Actually, I can do this. Users would be a root model of list of user. So from Pydantic import root model, from typing import list, and then users are going to be a list of users. So if I do something like Let me try to validate this. So if I have users model validate, and then I have list of users, then I'm gonna be able to validate it. Yeah, that's right. So root model is something that was added instead of having the root, the dunder root. You can also use it not necessarily like this, but you can also be doing it in the class like this. This works. If you have methods that you can want to add, you can also add def potato, then self, and then do something with it. You have the self root if you want to use it. So if I have this model validate, this creates an instance of users. So users, and then print users potato, should be able to see the users that you've created. This is really nice. Some things that we have added on V2 as well are the field serializer, the model serializer, the computer field for serialization. So if we just I'm not sure if I should talk about serialization first or the validation. I think is it fine if I talk to this now? No, let's continue. I'm gonna go back to this after the validation. And then what else? Nothing much here. Okay, let's talk about the generic, which in Pydantic V1 you'd have Pydantic generic model, and on V2 you just need so a user, if you add a generic from the typing module, so generic, you are already able to use the generic. So if I have this type var, and then I do this, and then I have my ID depends on the type var t. So if I have a user, and then I have that the ID is an int, and then I can instantiate the ID with 1. In case I have a user 2 and actually the ID is a string, then I have that. If I have a user 3 and my ID is a float, I can also do this. And then if I have my user 4 and it's a boolean, and I can also do this. And then if I run this, this works as intended. Yeah, this is nice. Okay, good. What else? So this is about generic model that we've replaced to just use base model with generic, so you don't need the generic model anymore. So let me remove this. Perfect. There are also changes on the field. So some deprecations, some also removals. So let's see exactly. So let's see first the const. So if I have here the field, do I have water still? Okay, I don't have water. I have, this water is a bit old. Let me see if. Okay, it's good. Hope it's fine. It's been a while since I've been in my office. This light's a bit bad. Let me see, but I cannot improve it. But anyway, so field. I have this field. Let's remove the generic. Let's remove the type var. Okay, this is good. And then let's try to add a constant. So let's see that we have a const field. Let me see something. Okay, let's try to see what Copilot tells us to do. So please use field const true. Let's see. Okay, this doesn't help. This helps. Kind of. This doesn't help much. So if I have, for example, an enum. If I have an enum, run enum import enum. I want to create an enum of kind of user. Let's see what okay, user and admin. Perfect. So let's have a role. Let's have kind. And what we have here is this user is going to always be the role kind user. It's going to be const. Okay. So this is already not working because it's on V1. We don't have this parameter anymore. And this is actually being replaced by Pydantic pump to this. So this already becomes literal kind user from typing import and literal. And this actually becomes kind user. This is already a const. Okay. What else has changed? Min items it has been replaced by min length. So if I just do name, min length, and max length, so that has changed as well. Unique items from a list, it's not there anymore. Do we say mention something about it? No, I don't think so. Maybe we should mention. I don't even remember what's the behavior on V1. Okay, let's put this by the end. So let's add the notes here. So serializer. I talk about unique items as well. And what else? I don't know. Allow mutation. Okay, so allow mutation was something that was true, and now it is. Sorry, if you want the if you want the behavior that we had with frozen on data classes, which means kind of immutable, then you'd put allow mutation to false. This is kind of weird. So by default it was true, so you are able to modify it. So this is kind of weird in the sense that you change the behavior putting it false. So we actually changed the name for something that makes more sense, which is frozen, which matches what data classes have. So this is nice. The reject has been changed by pattern. Not sure if it's only because the JSON schema uses pattern, but I believe that's the reason. Also, final, the key has been removed, and you just need to use the typing final if you want it to be a final. Yeah. And we need to document more stuff. We have been 18 minutes of a video. Changes on data classes. I'm not sure how many changes we did on data classes, but I don't want to focus on it. Let's see later. Changes on the config. Let's go on this one. So allow mutation again, it's also on the configuration. It should be used frozen instead of allow mutation. The error message templates has been removed. There is another way to show the error message template. Like if you want to change the error message, there is another way, which is also documented. Let me actually find, because I was actually the one who documented, but I don't remember where I changed that. I think it's in the end of this section. No, it's not. It's in the end of this one. No, maybe on this one. Yes, it's here. So if you go to latest errors / errors, customize error message, you're gonna see, let me increase a bit the size of the letters. You're gonna see that you can change the messages. So you actually need to match the name of the error. So I have here int parsing and URL scheme, and then you are able to change it, and we're able to see a different input and a different message at the end. Okay, so the way you would do it is to catching the exception if you catch it, and then you kind of create a custom method with your custom ways of changing the message. So you can see in the documentation, it's gonna be a bit easier for you. Okay, so great. Fields has been removed, and you should be able to use annotated on fields to modify them as desired. So we are strongly relying on the typing dot annotated on this new version of Pydantic, and also I guess Fast API has also started to recommend annotated as well, and not many, but I think some libraries have started also, like Strawberry has started to use annotated heavily, I guess. Smart union is removed. Or every union now is smart, kind of. It's this kind of by default. Underscore attributes are private. Pydantic V2 behavior is now the same as if it was always set to true. Okay, great. So yeah, so if you have an underscore, it's always private. The follow config settings have been renamed, but this is something that it's going to be automatically changed by the band Pydantic tool, so you just don't need to worry if you use the tool. Change to validators. So you had validator and root validator, and now we have field validator and model validator. Okay, they are a bit different. In the usage of those, they depend on how many parameters are you using. Okay, so if I get this example, actually, okay, I thought, here, this is the example with Pydantic V2. So pretty much if you have this field validator and you have one parameter, then it's going to be the value. If you have two parameters, then if you have two parameters, it's going to be the class and the value. And if you have three, it's going to add the field validation information. So you can have some information on the info. If you do this, you have the context, the data, the field name, and mode. And then you are able to play with it as you wish. Okay, so let's go back to it. This is also important. Before on V1 we had the conversion from type errors on the validators to validation error. In Pydantic this doesn't happen anymore, so please be aware that it should be either assertion error or value error. Something different, and those two will not generate a validation error from Pydantic. This is very important. Previous when rising, yeah, this is mentioned here. Okay, great. So you can expect some breaking changes there as well, I guess. People, yeah. But that was very unexpected, so that's why it was changed. Validator behavior changes. Yes, there are some changes that you can see on the conversion table. We have a conversion table on the usage, and so you click on conversion table and you are able to see what has changed, what's the conversion that happened from the type, and then understand a bit more the changes on the validators. Also, the allow reuse is now no longer necessary. That was something that you wanted to create a validator that's going to be used on several places. You don't need that anymore, as I mentioned on the previous video. And yeah, you have, instead of validate arguments, you have now validate call. The name changed a bit. Also, it changed, I guess, because you can validate using the return, like validating also the return type. I'm not sure if in V1 was being used. Actually, I never used this in V1, but I'm now aware that in V2 we can use it nicely. Input types are not reserved. This is what? Okay, I don't want to reread all this. You check with more details what's here. What else? Ticks, unions, nothing that I think I should be mentioning. Required, optional, and nullable fields. This is important. So I think it's better to see this than for me to explain exactly. So F1 is a string, so this is required and cannot be none. String or none, so this is required and can be none. So So same as string none. I think this is meant to be same as union. I think it's because it was written like this. Yeah. So we have an automatically plugin on mkdocs that will transform code from one version to the other, and we always make it compliant with the lowest version possible in Python. So optional string would actually here would make sense, but on 3.10 it doesn't make sense because it's the same as this part. But anyway, so string or none, and with a default value means that it's not required. So every time you have a default value, it's not required. When you use the optional, does not mean that the field is optional. It means that it accepts none. Okay. There are some stuff written about the rejects. We use a different strategy for rejects, so you might be surprised by some behavior, but the thing is it's much faster than it was before. But I think some regular expressions should not work as expected. So please check this section. I'm not really sure what's here. This is what you should be aware. Also, the introduction of type adapter. So before, non-base model types were difficult to validate. Now we have this type adapter, which kind of tries to create kind of base model based type from any type. So if you see here this type adapter, it uses a list of int, and then you are able to validate it. Okay, perfect. And this is great. Another thing, it's defining custom types, but I think I've extended myself a bit, and it's already half an hour of video, so I'm just gonna talk through here, and then I'm gonna I still have some stuff to cover. Defining custom types is one of the things that I want to cover, especially on the next video. So I'm gonna stop here, and then I'm gonna upload this one, and then tomorrow, if I have time, I'm gonna record the rest of it. Well, thank you. I'm a bit tired. I hope the tiredness is not noticed. I hope you like it. And please ask questions so I can reply on the next videos. Thank you.